In 6 days, if the Central Bank of Nigeria does not make a change, you may not be able to spend the old Naira notes that you have. Both the Senate and the House of Representatives have asked the Central Bank of Nigeria to extend the deadline for old Naira notes beyond the January 31 targets set by the Apex Bank. Now, while the Senate is demanding that the deadline should be extended to July 31, the lower chambers, that is the House of Representatives, is saying, well, simply extend it to June. But the governor of the Apex Bank, Godwin Emefiele, insisted yesterday that, see, January 31 is the deadline. It would not change. We insist that this is the date. So anytime after January 31, you may not be able to spend the old Naira notes that you currently have access to. And, everybody is asking, we have not seen the new Naira notes. Even in the Senate yesterday, Senator Ndume came out to say that he has only seen the new notes once. So what is the sense behind Emefiele saying that January 31 remains the deadline? Well, joining me this morning to help make sense of the CBN's move and also to talk about some of the projections for the 2023 budget and other things is Senior Economist with SPN Professionals, Mr. Paul Alaje. Good morning, Mr. Paul Alaje.
Good morning, and thank you so much.
Let's get to business. Help me make sense of the looming battle between the Senate and the Apex Bank. The Apex Bank insisting that January 31 is the deadline for the usage of the current, or maybe let's say the old Naira notes. Do you think that that is something that remains feasible at this time, with just 6 days to go?
Well, at this time, I would say it's not feasible because I was on a similar show, yesterday. It was a government radio station in Abuja, and I spoke with the anchor, which is what I would advise you to do also this morning, is to perhaps speak with you and ask questions from the public. You need to ask the public, engage the public, and ask, how many of these notes have they seen?
Well, we have already done that, and we had and majority of them have admitted that they've not seen these notes.
Therefore, it's not visible, because you see, economy it does not lie. Cash play a major role. Don't let anybody deceive us. We have also been to several countries in the world. I've not seen one country where all their transaction is digital. I have not seen. Of all the places, the super advanced world and less developed country, it does not exist. Cash play a significant role. I understand the role central bank is trying to play to fight insecurity using these monies, control inflation using this money, and more importantly, curtail vote buying. These are very laudable ideas central bank has, but ordinary Nigerians should not be made to suffer. They shouldn't be made to suffer. I therefore would advise central bank to extend the last day to a date before the general election. And what does that mean? I would also want to advise central bank to adopt what previous central banks have done. I remember in the 80s, when coins were introduced, we used to have 5 kobo and 10 kobo. But later on, central bank introduced, I think, 25 kobo, 50 kobo, and 1 naira. Before that time, 1 naira was paper. It was paper notes, 50 kobo we were spending. That was what I took to school. Paper note, 50 kobo, and paper note, 1 naira, that there is no way I can finish it in a week or 2 weeks. But that is not the case anymore. The case right now is that central bank at that time changed the money from paper to coin because of value concerns, but something happened when that was changed. Because central bank has a target, the central bank through commercial bank introduced money exchangers, people that were going to people's homes. They recruited army like population census staff. When we are running population census, they will actually get to virtually everywhere. Not so. So it was that thing that was recruited. They were going to homes, Some of them were even selling items.
What about the cash swap scheme that was introduced a couple of days ago? Don't you think that would suffice for what? Yes,
similar to it. It's similar to it. But where is the station of cash people running the program? If they are stationed in a place, I'm sorry, I don't know what parts of Ekiti are you, but I can tell you that there are several communities in Ekiti.
Well, I am in Lagos.
Oh, sorry.
Don't forget.
Lagos? I'm sorry, sir. What part of Lagos are you? But I can tell you that there are different parts, even in Ogun State, close by to Lagos State. I'm very sorry. There are parts in Ogun State that there are no banking presence. So if Central Bank has put these people in place, which community have they been able to map Nigeria the way we do for population census? Not until we are able to do that, I can tell you that there are people who have not even heard about this program. You saw in the first 2 weeks of this program how somebody on social media was disgraced for doing legitimate thing.
Yeah.
So we need more education, more awareness, and there is no time on the part of Central Bank and every other institution within the banking sector.
Now, do you suspect that there is a deliberate attempt by the CBN to use this to reduce the cash flow? You know, they've talked about reducing the cash flow. Don't you think that
I agree.
That you think that this is deliberate? So you agree that this may be deliberate by Central Bank?
It is deliberate. It's actually deliberate. It is deliberate by Central Bank to reduce the cash flow, to force the cash flow down.
Okay.
Because as we are speaking, there are people that don't mean well for Nigeria that are also integrating their money laundered. They are integrating it back to the system. Mark you, there are some information we may not fully have that Central Bank has. So there are people that are using layering technique to integrate their money back to into the system.
So we should not entirely criticize the Central Bank for its handling at this moment.
No. We will criticize them for not having a good structure.
Okay.
We are not criticizing them for just the policy. Yes, you may want to change the color of the policy, even though I have issues with the quality of money that was introduced. I have so much issue with it.
Right after you answer that question, I think we would come to the quality of the notes.
Okay. By and large, I will tell you that the structure as we have it today is not efficient. Yesterday and 2 days ago and yesterday I was in Port Harcourt, and all the transaction I had in Port Harcourt, from taxi to going to mall, going to meeting food vendor, collecting data, all the monies they gave me, they were all old Naira notes. And I asked them, in fact, when I was at the supermarket, I asked them, why are you giving the old Naira note? Do you know that in the next 8 or 7 days, it will be taken from the circulation? They said, it is what we have that we will give. Mark you, 2 weeks before then, I was in Lagos, the Lagos that you are in. And even though in Lagos, there seems to be some level of penetration of new notes, but old Naira notes is still
dominant.
It's still old sway in Lagos State. This is the business commercial capital of the nation. The same with Abuja. Last week, I was in Ibadan and Kano. The 3 days in Ibadan, 3 days in Kano. For those two Asian cities, it was even worse. ATM were dispensing, old Naira notes. So, the structure Central Bank has, it is not efficient enough.
Okay.
And I know that there are Central Bank headquarters in some places. So they need to work again with the commercial bank which they are working with, the microfinance bank, the POS operators, and to be more effective with the currency swap. And I hope that will happen ASAP.
You know that we've had quite a number of conspiracy theories, and even the CBN has come out to accuse some of the banks of attempting to sabotage the process, saying that, well, we have about 4.5 billion naira value of new Naira notes, and so there should be no issue with this money circulating around the system. But it appears that most of these monies have been mopped up by banks, the top hierarchies of banks, and no reason exactly has been given. I hope you're familiar with that report.
I don't think Central Bank should make that kind of statement. The statement should be more research-based. So all the banks start setting allocations that have been given to them. Central Bank has ways of identifying how much was given out by commercial banks. So if you give a bank 500,000 500 million, for instance, you check the ATM through NIPS, how much was dispensed through ATM. You check the record of the bank, how much has the bank truly given out. So if you now see that they have not, and you can even do random sampling. If the bank says they gave Mr. A, they dispensed 500,000 to Mr. A across the counter, you can do random sampling. If you have 15 million population that said that the bank claimed it's given, you can sample even 1,000, just all randomly. Sample 1,000, then before you can now make it a statement of fact that is research based. I don't know if you are with me.
I'm with you.
But don't just say that the banks are sabotaging, because banks will not complain because CBN is the regulator. Nobody wants to go against the regulator. If not, the sword will land on you. So the central bank should make that statement to be more research based. If it is research based with evidence, then we can say that the commercial bank are sabotaging the effort of central bank. Until that is done, it will just be an opinion.
All right. Before we come to the having digital payment systems and how we can push that across the entire country, let's talk about the quality of the new notes. Those who have had access to the new notes say that they're not exactly satisfied with the quality, that it appears that it has a lower lifespan or durability when compared to the old notes. Now, that again questions the wisdom of the central bank to go ahead with the decision to print new Naira notes.
Thank you so much, sir. For me, I've not seen the 200 notes before. I've not seen the 500 notes before. I've seen the 1,000 notes several times. The 1,000 note I had in my hand and the old 1,000 notes is like having 80 grams and 70 grams. The difference is there. So the grammage, to me, has reduced. Okay. Again, for the old notes, you could see there are multiple colors on the 1,000 Naira. For the new notes, it's single color. The difference in color is in the security features. So that may not be an issue totally. But the quality, the reason is because when you look at the classification, occupational classification of our people, you go to the markets, you want to buy fish, they stock it in their purse, They have a name for it in Yoruba language. They just open the zip, put the money, squeeze it in there. Some of them will open this thing, put it inside. You understand? So The way the money is handled, I doubt if this money will withstand pressure. I doubt very much. I don't think this money will be able to withstand pressure.
If you said this money would not be able to withstand pressure, and eventually the CBN goes ahead to entirely phase out the old notes, for me, this is a personal question now about the people who go out there to spray, even though it contravenes the CBN Act 2007. Would it be easier to perhaps, discourage people from flaunting or disgracing, embarrassing the Naira by spraying it, now that they know that this has less durability than the old one?
No, you see, it is not you are speaking rationally. You are a very rational human being. That, because the quality is not as strong, therefore I should not spray. The man that wants to spray is not doing that rationally. He wants people to see. He wants to show off. He wants people to see that this is how much I'm spending to this person. He's proving a point to the person he's spraying on, and he wants every other person to see that this is how much it's worth. And if you can't, somebody could have just transferred 50,000 Naira, 100,000 Naira. But the man that wants to spray to 200 Naira in 100 places, how much has he spent? 20,000. But the world, we say he has money more than the one that transferred 100,000. There is no noise about transfer, but the transaction is done. So it's a cultural thing for Africans. Whether you are from here, or you are from Gabon, or you are from, we must deliberately alter our culture. And people We used to walk around naked. Our forefathers, when they saw superior argument, they changed. So government must bring people to reason. If people don't come to reason, it's going to be a lot of challenge. And I also want to say that we need to adopt a method practiced by Lee Kuan Yew. Lee Kuan Yew did not use the poor as example. Most of the time, Lee Kuan Yew used the rich, the wealthy, and the powerful as example. Why have I said this? I've said it because those who have ways, those with means, who can have their ways, they should have been used as an example. The poor man with his 10,000, 5,000, 20,000, we know how to mind his business. It is not quality of money that will make people change a culture. Because they know that over time, nothing has happened. They believe nothing will therefore happen again.